Inflation, hyperinflation. There's hyperinflation in Europe now and in other part of the world. If you live outside your country of birth, regardless of where, I have some tips for you. First of all, this particular video is not for everybody. And what do I mean? If you're one of the super rich, maybe you can skip the video. But if you're the regular guy like me, regular person, you have your means of income and you're living in diaspora, or even if you're living in your own country, you may want to listen to this entire video.
See, me and my people, we go jolly, yo. We the fight, yo. We know they send nobody. Cause we get no worries and we get energy. After the lane, them I follow. After the dance, them I colo. Feeling myself in my condo. The man, them tripping, feeling the girl, yeah, now. Me and my guys, we no get time, more. 24/7, like good vibes, oh. We the live large, oh.
Guys, a lot is going on in Europe, and I believe in other part of the world. It's not the same. The story is not the same. And what is the one thing that this particular war in between Russia and Ukraine, these two? We're not all directly involved in the fight, but somehow it's telling on everybody. So one thing is, in Europe now, in Germany, let me use Germany as a typical focal point, is hyperinflation. Hyperinflation. What does that mean? Everything is on the rise. And we are talking about increase in energy price, food items, clothing, transportation, and your heating costs. That one now is over the roof. It's no news that most European countries are struggling with high cost of energy because the continent is used to getting cheaper gas from Russia, and since there have been sanctions, now they have to source elsewhere, and you know what I mean. It costs a lot more. So the German government have been doing a lot, going here and there to Africa, to Asia, and the reason why it's important I talk about this is we are in winter already. It's very cold. We are already experiencing the minus temperatures, and there is a need to keep your home warm because out there it's like freezer. It's freezing, like literally freezing. Let's go into the real issues now. For majority of the population, which are average family, the low income earners, which are essentially the larger part of the population. And a country like Germany, which is a tax-based country, the revenue is generated from tax, so they don't joke with their taxes. Then they still try to see how they can subsidize some things. On an occasional basis, they come up with some policies to support families financial-wise, because families, this medium family, need to stay afloat regardless of the crisis. Take for instance, during the Corona period, they rolled out some initiatives just to keep people going. So now, this hyperinflation, which is affecting everything that we can find around us now, is something we really need to do something deliberate about. And what do I mean? You look at, take for instance, a salary person like me, you weigh your salary against your monthly expenses. So it's like your salary is here, the expenses maybe before this hyperinflation started was like here. Now it's here. So it's now left for you to juggle your salary with this increasing expenses, because when you have to pay for your house rent, you pay for your heating costs. Heating cost is quite different from your normal electricity. Electricity is your, to put your lights on and all that, or heat your water. But heating the home is a different gadget that we use for heating homes. So that uses gas. So as you pay for your lights, you also pay for heating your homes. 2 different payments. So guys, we need to deliberately as individuals, if one does not really juggle things and take some deliberate actions, then you might find yourself eating from hand to mouth. Because apparently after paying your monthly expenses, talk of your house rent, electricity, you pay for your heating costs that always come with the monthly house rent. Then you pay for your internet. Virtually every home uses internet in diaspora or in the Western world. Pay for that. Then food items. With food items on the increase, even the regular food like your bread or cooking oil and so on, everything is on the rise now. And how do you survive? And that is why I'm here. Just give my own personal tips that you can apply if you're living abroad. So it's a battle of survival, because you have to survive no matter what. So you can, at the end of your expenses, you can have something back in your pocket. Basically, that is why I'm here, to share my personal experience or my personal tips, like I said. Now, what do we need to do to go through this turbulent period? Especially those of us that are from Africa. We even have some obligation of, on monthly basis, remitting money back home. I believe some of my black folks can testify to. If you're living in any other parts of the world aside Africa, there is a lot of financial commitments to the people back home, because we see our families back home, and you still have to remit one way or the other. Now, when you now look at the present reality, this information is also for those that are back home on the continent of Africa. You need to understand what people living in the Western world are going through at the moment. It's not easy. I have to say that. It's not easy at all. And a lot of people might have to struggle for the next 1 year, or at least until we start seeing changes. Because when prices of goods are on the increase, then salary still stays where it is, because every company too is trying to stay afloat. Take for instance, my company now rationalize when they hit the offices and the halls just because of the high cost of energy. So you see how all these things directly and indirectly affects us. So companies are trying to stay afloat by avoiding too much payments, and I mean in energy and heating costs, because you need to keep the offices warm. So everybody is conscious of this fact and reality that we're facing now, and they're trying to find their way around it. With what you have, what you earn on monthly basis, you need to take some deliberate actions. And those points are what I'm going to be talking about now. They're just 3 points. Number 1, staying or trying to survive at this particular period. Number 1, you need to cut down irrelevancies. What are those things that are taking your cents, your money away? that are not needed. You need to sit down. I have done that also. Sit down. What are those things I need to cut down on that are not really necessary? Because to spend money now, I think twice. Like, is this really necessary? If it's not necessary, that's the end of it. So it's not a time for jamboree. That's why I said at the beginning of the video that if you're super rich, like the Elon Musk and the likes, you might not really bother. This might not really affect you. But the regular people, you are the one I'm talking to. Place anything that is irrelevant, that you feel is not, okay, in economics, they said there's difference between needs and wants. So anything that is a want should be done away with. Only what is needed. We need to start applying those into our daily lives for it to stay afloat before we start struggling. Just my advice. So cut down on irrelevancies, things that are not needed, like shoes and all that. Dust up all those your old shoes you've not worn in months. You know, you don't really need to buy the new ones that are on the shelf. Maybe they slash the prices. These companies also know what they're doing when they slash the prices. Oh, it looks, this, I need to take advantage of this offer. It's not an offer, it's a bait. You need to know when something is an offer or a bait. Sometimes those things are bait to get. You spend the little that is on you. So you need to be smart up here. Financially, man, it's not easy. Second point, no reckless spending. Trust me. If you still have some of the things you used during this Yuletide period for last year, like your clothing, brush them up, take them to a dry cleaner, get your iron, press them well, and look good. The whole point is look good. You're still going to celebrate more festive period. So why kill yourself now? You understand what I mean? So guys, reckless spending, take a cut. No reckless spending on things that you are not obliged to, or just because you're trying to impress. Don't try to impress anybody. Otherwise, you'll kill yourself before your time. Take it or leave it. No time to impress anybody. Just do your thing. Do yourself. Who cares? Nobody cares. After all, you still have to do with your own. I don't want to say the word now, but you understand what I mean. So you have to deal with your own life, man. It is what it is. But don't say because you are living abroad and you forget to do the basics. Things are on the increase. You also need to make adjustments. Adjustment. Do you understand? Even the rich, like I said, perhaps I'm just exaggerating, like leaving out. Even the rich are trying to cut costs because, take for instance, like a company sending us email to cut down on energy, on heating, that send the signal. So as an individual, you also need to make the needed adjustments for your life. Then my last point is spend only on what is important. And what are those things important? Food is essential. Clothing is not really. You have clothes. You don't need to have thousands of it. You're not trying to open a clothing line. So, what do you have, man? And, just eat good and you'll be fine. So, those are my tips for you guys. I feel it's necessary for us at this time. And I like to share good tips that I apply basically to myself. And if this is something you find interesting or you found this video interesting, please hit that like button. Don't just watch, it doesn't cost you anything. Hit the like button, subscribe, The subscribe button is down there. Subscribe, and do not forget, drop a comment if you've picked one or two things in today's video. So on to the next time, I wish you all well. Tough times don't last, but only tough people do. So guys, I'll see you by the next video. I remain yours faithfully, Femi Julo and family. See you guys. Stay safe. Happy New Year.